welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon Reviews. Even though we are recording this on Halloween Day, no spooky, scary games in our review slate this week.
Really sounds like a failure of planning to me.
Well, actually, technically we do have one, and that's Omno, if only because Steam is telling me that it's part of their Halloween sale. Like, you know, it's more kind of what we get versus what we review. Like, honestly, it's a whole thing. But anyway, we have 4 games to review this week, as always. And the first one is a game called Growbot. Growbot is an adventure about a robot saving her home from a dark crystalline forest, set upon a biopunk space station bursting with fantastic plants and aliens. I'm not exactly sure what biopunk is.
It's like cyberpunk or steampunk, except for the technology is genetic engineering and shit, I think.
I guess that would fit with what this game is generally going for. It's also just not very punky, in the literal sense.
The punk part has long since stopped being particularly relevant.
I know, but here's the thing: it was relevant in certain genres, like cyberpunk.
Yes, cyberpunk is supposed to be even in modern cyberpunk, though. You don't see a lot of punk, like fucking Ghost in the Shell. A lot of people think is pretty punk, or pretty cyberpunk anyway, and the main characters are the government.
Technically speaking, Ghost in the Shell is post-cyberpunk.
Yeah, I know. You get the idea, though. A lot of people don't make that distinction.
I know. I'm just saying I have my doubts that there was anything punk in biopunk. If only because, okay, what is the man in this scenario? The sun?
It can be.
I don't know. Anyway, we're getting off on a weird tangent here because, Growbot is a fairly light and whimsical adventure. Even though it portends scenes of darkness, it's not that dark, if I'm being honest. Everything has a very soft, fuzzy, watercolor look to it. It looks like something from a children's storybook. And, I will be frank and clear, that's where I think I come down on this game. It's a really good adventure game for children. Like, I'd say the 6 to 11 range. Anywhere beyond that, there's no real easy way to say this. I'd say a bit of boredom will onset. Maybe when you get later on in life, you can appreciate this on another level. But, it's like I don't see like a teenage audience or, young adult really taking to it unless they're kind of geared towards that aesthetic, let's say. This isn't exactly a shooty bang bang kind of game, or even like something like King's Quest or Space Quest. No, this is more. Well, one of the examples that gives off is like Loom and the games of Animetia Design, Machinarium and the like. And I can definitely see it, but once again, it's just skews younger. There's nothing wrong with that. Let me be clear. I'm just saying that,
you have to have babies first adventuring games to get babies who have experience with adventure games, so they want to do other ones.
I mean, that's definitely a modern take on things because, once back in the day, babies first adventure games were still pretty fucking brutal until Sierra finally remembered.
Oh, I don't mean easiness. I mean like content.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Sierra eventually got there with their adventure games, like the Mixed Up Mother Goose series. I'm just saying, throwing a child to a King's Quest game. You laugh, but that was my experience.
Yeah, I figured.
I was like 9 or 10 years old, but still, like King's Quest V. Well, I've ranted about that game in the past. trust me, this is nothing like King's Quest V or anything remotely Sierra in in their adult lineup, let's say, or even LucasArts. This is definitely a very modern adventure game. Because not only does it have a very child-friendly aesthetic, its puzzles are pretty easy, generally speaking. Like, I'd say the most difficult puzzles on an even keel would be the music-related puzzles. That's where the Loom influence comes in, because Loom is the most musical adventure game I can think of. Like, not only was music a big part of it, but music was how you solved all the puzzles. Here, it's interspersed with other logic puzzles and the point-and-click stuff you'd expect. But once again, nothing really challenging. To give a good example, I came across a combination puzzle in the second area of the game. It wanted a key code. And you want to know what the answer was?
Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yes, it was.
Oh my fucking god.
And you could find this out because it had dots on the buttons with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I just okay.
That's so simple. It's kind of easy to miss.
I know, right? Like, it's almost clever.
I did that. That's like borderline, if not literally at. I think I could have just thought that was like labeling and did not realize that it was actually a hint to the puzzle.
Yeah, like I said, it was almost clever. No, almost, but you still put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the combination, which will never, ever be fucking clever unless we're talking about Spaceballs. So, just wanted to throw that out there. But now, in order to bring this game into modern, some, let's say, sacrifices had to be made, and that is, so one of the things I really don't like about Myst, the first Myst, is that it has a puzzle that is completely based on sound. Riven also goes down this
For reasons why this doesn't work, see Nakatali's Let's Play of, what was it? Anything that has a music puzzle in it.
Probably. I think he's gone off about it, but I think I talked about it when we interviewed Cian way back when. But my point is, using puzzles by purely sound, like, I get the point of that because music has tonality, and you will get that in this game. Like, you have to match flower sounds, flower notes. You get notes from flowers, and you have to create these shields in order to either generate or break shields depending on the context, and you have to input a musical sequence. So the question is, what if you're deaf? And the answer here is, well, there is a hint system. You turn that on, it will flat out state what flowers they are. Like I said, it has to be a give and take.
So having something in between would be nice, like having also a color code or.
This game isn't really worried about color. Sound's the big thing.
I know but that's what I'm saying. If someone is deaf, then having some equivalent thing.
Well, that is the equivalent thing. That's what I'm saying. It has its accessibility option is for some reason labeled as a hint system. Instead of some word for deaf. Because that's what that thing is really there for. I mean, you obviously a non-deaf person, you can use it, and yeah, I did use it. On one occasion when I wasn't sure I had the flowers needed to open the shield, and it's like, okay, because honestly the tonality is easier than say Loom, because Loom you had to actually know the scale, of notes, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, da, or do. And granted, Loom had the difficulty options. If you were on medium or easy, you had the note panel, but hard, you had to play that by ear. My point is there's no playing by ear, even when you get to the end of the game. And there is another type of music puzzle, and it's like there's another way around it. It's kind of roundabout though, because I don't think it was an oversight, because like anytime you go to, let's say, the recall function, which you will have unlocked by this point in the game, it will actually solve the puzzle for you every time. I actually solved every puzzle because I wanted to make sure that wasn't a bug. And I was like, no, this is intentional. I'm assuming that this is the way that, once again, a deaf person would get through this puzzle. Because, once again, it's not a puzzle that would be solved by a deaf person. So, like I said, it's got accessibility options. They're a bit clunky, but I've seen worse. I've seen much worse. As in like having no accessibility options, and here's the sound puzzle. Good luck if you're hard of hearing. So, and it's a fairly short game. I think I logged in like 8 hours. Not an incredibly short adventure game, but it's still on the fairly short side, which is fine. Like, it's the length that it needed to be, I think. Really, I think the biggest selling point here is on the whimsy and the charm of like the visuals and the world and the story, and getting back to the thesis statement here. This is all very kid friendly. The music is outside of like the notations of music. It's all light piano music, and that's how I describe the soundtrack overall. Rather relaxing, outside of like, some terror chords, let's say, because, it's not 100% fluffy. It's just, expect it to get as dark as, say, how, I don't know, the Care Bears or My Little Pony gets dark. It can get, let's say, overcast, but nothing exceedingly dark or inappropriate for kids. And let's see, clocking in at the pricing. The game is $20. I said, might be a bit of a hard sell for an adult. To get it for a kid, I think that's fine. It does have a few bundles, which can't really speak about since they involve other games. The Bursting with Cuteness bundle and the Keep Exploring bundle, but it's got a deluxe edition which has your standard Steam digital extras, art book, soundtrack. Those are like it's like I got the base game, but I don't have the extras. Those are an extra $3.58. It's like, sure. Like I said, the pricing is fine for what you get here. And like I said, overall, for an adult, see if you, I would recommend looking at, watching the trailer, looking at the screenshots, that kind of thing, to see if this is your kind of game. Because, if you're not into the light and fluffy scene, and I know there are people who just absolutely will reject this kind of aesthetic because, reasons. There's nothing for you here, to be quite honest. But, for the children or the children at heart, this is a perfectly serviceable adventure game. Nothing too amazing, but nothing particularly wrong with it. Like, I'd say it's slightly above average, but not much more than that. And, yeah, any other questions, comments, or concerns about Growbot here?
I think I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah, that'll about do it for Growbot. Be sure to tune in after the break, as Petty Fan will be reviewing Omno.